We have a government that is not accountable to anyone except themselves. In Gauteng, at Treasury, I had a whistleblower share information with me, but the whistleblower was too chicken to give me the hard evidence and to agree to come forward, right? Just as well, because I opened so many cases with the Hawks, and none of them have, I can't think of one that has ever been taken to the court successfully. I received a notification just the other day from the SAPS telling me there's a case I opened in 2018 that they are now investigating in January 2025. Money disappears. So what Trump is doing, whatever technology they are using to study the financial flows and all the transactions, because it's a very complicated system that moves money from national treasury to provincial treasury, that involves the banking system, and I'm not sure, maybe the Reserve Bank to some extent, and then from the provincial treasuries to the banks. So your payroll, payment of service providers, there's a collusion there. Somebody's doing it inside and outside, whatever, but nothing happened. No, we've just stopped it. I mean, how many articles are exposing corruption in South Africa on a daily basis?
Books, we've got
on a daily basis, on a daily basis. 24 billion rand in PE. That's the latest story. And nothing happens. You know, in China, you'd get executed immediately because it's public money. Here's the thing, right? So what they do, these guys, and I don't want to cast aspersion on all of them because that's not fair. I was unfortunately in that space. I'm very anti-corruption to the point I get very violent about it. You will not drag me into any form of corruption. I refuse. And I'm very vocal about it. I've always been. It's not a new thing. But what I know they do, if there's a vote on budget, would obviously be the most critical vote. I mean, other votes are on policy issues, lawmaking, whatever. But if there's a money vote to pass a budget so that we can proceed, they pay each other to vote with your money. So the one who's governing, who's in charge of the purses, would find ways. They loot the money through tenders. We all know how it now works, right? I've now just shared with you another way that they steal it directly from Treasury. Or there's another way that they steal in Gauteng, for instance. And I think they do it everywhere, basically, because one province tests it out. They go and share with their buddies, as you said, if it's a majority. Even if it's different political parties. I mean, some of the parties come from the ANC anyway, so it's just a continuation of the same thing, but now the competition, the stakes are higher. We're now fighting over who's entitled to steal more, because you robbed me of an opportunity to lead in the ANC, and therefore I couldn't get my billions or whatever it is that the hell that I'm feeling entitled to steal. They also are setting up companies through foreigners who don't exist. Some of them exist, but obviously have the fraudulent IDs. So no, I do not agree. Foreigners only need to go to a country if their skills are needed there. There's no other reason. They can come as tourists, but then of course sometimes they don't leave, of course. We know we got a huge chunk of the illegal foreigners from Africa after the 2010, during the 2010 World Cup. And a lot of criminals from all over the world, the Mexican cartels and all of that. So they get foreigners to set up a company, and then that company will get a fund from the Gauteng Enterprise Propeller, another case that I opened, never ever investigated to this day. One of the other creative ways they get foreigners to open companies, they allocate grant funding to them where there's, a program to grant fund, for instance, the Gauteng Enterprise Propeller programs, and then, or a loan, maybe a CEDA or CIFA, whatever, and then the person disappears with the money. Of course, if it's a loan and it's funding, they would have had to deposit it into their bank account, which would have been long approved because they've got fake South African documents. And then when you are sitting in the legislature and you're going through these words and words of lists of 2 million, 500,000, 2 million, 1.5 million, 3 million, all this money is written off by the CFO and their teams, and you ask them, what do you mean? You can't just write off without an investigation. Where's this money? Where's this company? Where are these people? No, we can't find them. Government issues IDs. It was always my popular response. I'm like, but government IDs are not issued. Birth certificates, death certificates, marriages, divorces, all of those things are issued. Matric certificates. They're issued by government. What do you mean you can't find the person?
Yeah.
No, we can't find them. Okay, did you go to the premises? Because according to the reports, you gave them this funding because you went to verify the business. One of the problems is that, and of course, there's pros and cons to all of this, but if your entire senior leadership of the police are deployed, chances of getting a straight cop are very slim.
Yes.
If your judges have to be appointed by corrupt politicians in the Judicial Services Commission, which is a committee of parliament, in the same corrupt parliament we are complaining about, what are the chances that the best of the best from the legal fraternity will become judges? I was talking to a lawyer earlier on who said to me confidentially that a lot of the good judges don't want to serve, whether it's in the Court, High Court, Supreme Court of Appeal. They do not want to, because of the process, the toxicity of the process of the Judicial Services Commission, and just the general rot in the entire criminal justice system.